Hey everyone, and welcome back to Nostalgia and Nonsense. I'm your host, Tylah Hill, and I'm bloody thrilled to have you join me. If you're new here, let me fill you in. This podcast is your weekly dose of throwback vibes where we dive into everything from iconic childhood moments, TV shows, movies, toys, and the quirks and chaos of growing up. In this episode of Nostalgia and Nonsense, I'm revisiting toys that nearly killed me. Oh, it looks so cute and cuddly and fun, but it can also bloody kill ya. Also coming up is the story of a killer glowstick, which is definitely one for the books. It involves me, a glowstick, and a whole lot of regret. Spoiler alert, it didn't end very well, so stay tuned for that. Alright, let's jump into it. Are you guys ready? Let's hit rewind. Today we're focusing on toys that you might remember with a lot of fondness, but also had a bit of a darker side. One of those that comes to mind for me is Zuzu Pets. Zuzu Pets were first introduced to the market by a company called Sepia in 2009. Basically, the concept was for them to create small, furry, robotic pets that could perform tricks and interact with their environment. The original Zuzu Pets were designed as hamsters with different accessories, and they had built-in sensors and motors allowing them to move and make sounds, and each pet had its own little set of actions and personality. Over Christmas in 2009 was when Zuzu Pets really became a massive hit in the market, and that's when I got my first Zuzu Pets as well. My favorite Zuzu Pet was this yellow one called Pipsqueak. Basically, she was one of the originals and one of the first 4 Zuzu Pet hamsters to be released, and she was just all yellow with a pink nose and a little bit white on her face and paws, and then had this really cute little birthmark on her back, which is basically just like an imprint that they all had, and hers was like a star. I think it was a shooting star actually. Following the initial success in around 2010, Sepia introduced a new variety of characters and had different animals such as cats and dogs, and really expanded the accessory line, play sets, and all the interactive environments that you could get with them. They also expanded into other media and even had a little animated series that you could watch as well. I know it sounds pretty fun, right? But not so fast, because these were basically robots. And with robots, they are electrical devices, and like all electrical devices, if you use them for too long, they can have a tendency to overheat. So that was one of the first issues that many parents had discovered with Zuzu Pets. They weren't just cute, they were essentially small robots that could burn you. And we're talking hot enough that if a little kid held them for too long, they could actually burn their fingers. Can you imagine the horror of realizing that a toy that's meant to entertain a child could actually cause a burn? One particular problem that I remember from Zuzu Pets was basically their little wheels that would go underneath them to make them roll around your house. And with those wheels, you basically press their nose or hold down on their back, which would make them go. But there wasn't really a way to stop them that easily. So I remember a particular time that my brother was holding the wheels a little bit too close to his hair. His hair got caught in the spinning wheels and he couldn't make it stop. So he basically had to get scissors and cut his hair to free him. But bloody sounds painful, and I'm glad that I obviously am not stupid enough to do that. There was also reports of the noise. Zuzu Pets made a cute little squeak and whir and chirps. They were meant to simulate the sounds of real hamsters. To start with, the noises were quite cute and adorable, but after a few hours of play, they could drive some parents bloody crazy. Some parents reported that they were feeling like they were living in a constant hamster rave with endless squeaking, driving them to the limits. There were also reports that Zuzu Pets had dangerous levels of potentially harmful metals known as antimony, which is used in a lot of electronic devices. But basically, there was a federal standard and investigation in the US that kind of considered them as safe. Also, to be clear, Zuzu Pets were never actually recalled, and they also still apparently exist today. Apparently, they're making like an aquarium version of them now, which I haven't actually seen in the shops, but apparently they're still kicking and trying to make money off that. Horrific times. Your hamster, Zuzu Pet, almost tried to kill you. Moving on to another dangerous toy that I owned growing up. They were called either Aquadots or Bindies, or beados. Basically, there were these little bead toys that you could arrange them into designs on like a tray and fuse them together with water. So you had like a little water spray bottle and you'd spray them down and it would make a little pretty picture that you can like use. I don't know if any of you guys remember it, but it was like one of my favorite toys to use. And it basically had like a little machine at the top where you would sort like all your little colored beads out in the tray. And then you would press the button on the end of your pen, and then like that bead would come out and you'd put it into like whatever position on your tray that you wanted to make the picture. Like I'd make love hearts a lot because they were super easy to do, and also dogs that were easy to make. But yeah, there was heaps of stuff you could make, and it was actually really fun. But once again, these toys were dangerous, and I'm talking drugs dangerous. It was found that beados or bindies or aquadots, whatever you called them, they had a safety issue in relation to their chemical composition because the beads were coated with a chemical called 1,4 something, like BDO. I don't actually really know because I'm not a scientist, but basically it's used in a lot of different industrial processes, and when you ingest it and it goes into your metabolism, it can turn into GHB, which is a substance that's known for its sedative and psychoactive effects. I think people like use it to like drug people when they're going out, you know, like to spike people's drinks in the club. I think they use GHB or something like that. I don't actually know. I just heard that. I'm not an expert. But yeah, it can have a lot of serious like health effects and issues if it gets ingested. So it can cause drowsiness, dizziness, nausea, and even cause people to be unconscious. It's also really can be life-threatening in severe cases. So having that in a children's toy is quite insane, because what if the kids accidentally ingest the beads that are contained in it? The beads are small and really brightly colored, so they could be mistaken for candy or something else. And once ingested, the chemical coating on the beads really has that serious risk for the children's health. So the body converts the BDO into GHB, leading to potential poisonous and severe side effects. In 2007, the US Consumer Product Safety Commission issued a recall of aquadots, which is what they were mainly known for in the US. For me, it was known as Beados. That's just what I always called them. And I was like, Mom, I want Beados for Christmas. And she bloody got them for me, and they bloody got recalled. I can't believe they actually stayed around for so long though, and like even made it to the shelves to start with. In Australia in like 2007, Bindies was named as the toy of the year. And I believe it was made by Moose, if you guys remember that toy brand, which still exists today, but they do make some pretty cool toys, I have to say. But basically, Moose put out a statement saying that parents must immediately remove the products from access to their children, and there was a national recall of the product. There were 3 kids that were hospitalized because they'd swallowed the Bindies beads, and it made them feel really sick and unwell. I think even in the US, there was like reports that some of the kids like were in comas for like up to 5 days. The New South Wales government banned the sale of Bindies beads, and then the Queensland, ACT, SA, WA, and Northern Territory governments then followed suit. And the crazy thing is that Moose Enterprise was actually named as a finalist for an Australian Export Award that was going to be announced. So literally just hours before their toys got recalled, they're about to be announced a winner of an Australian Export Award. Bloody awkward. There was drugs in my toy. Literally, they put drugs in my toy as a kid. How insane. And lastly, do you remember the flying fairy dolls? They had the wing-covered arms and like the base launcher. I think there's like heaps of YouTube videos that have gone viral. There's the one of the girl that uses one and it lands in the fireplace. There's also another one where it just keeps going up and up and up in the sky. And I don't think it even came back down. Like it just disappears and they can't see it anymore. But that was another toy that was super dangerous because it would launch itself right into kids, hurt their teeth, hurt their eyes, get caught in their hair. The company that made these flying fairies, Galoob Toys, they announced a recall of the Sky Dancers flying dolls in the year 2000. So there was like 8.9 million dolls that were pulled off the shelves at that time. And let's not forget that many of these issues led to recalls and changes in the toy regulations. So while these toys may have had their problems, they also kind of paved a little bit of a way to improve safety and standards in the toy industry. So I guess that's kind of a small silver lining in what could otherwise be a pretty dark story. This is the Memories Unlocked section of the podcast, the part of the podcast where you get to submit the memories that you've recently unlocked and we can talk about them on the podcast. Just send me a DM on Instagram and we can go from there. The first one that I have is one from Jay Hampson. They say, do you remember Emlings from Macca's? Yes. Emlings are basically like a digital toy. I think it was actually Macca's first digital toy, and they had these little colorful monsters that were up in the clouds and they were all on the packaging of the Happy Meals. And it was kind of like a game that you could play, or a series of different games. I never really played it, and I think maybe it was more of something that my siblings kind of era. But Emlings, I do remember seeing the boxes and everything like that. And the monsters were pretty cute. I think Macca's had like a huge amount of downloads in the first week when this game and like these toys came out. I think it was like 22 million downloads or something like that. But at the same time, I feel like Emlings were like the first signs of Macca's not doing awesome toys anymore. Because I think this was like probably like 2015 or something. Like, it kind of sounds like around the time where Macca's had like one last hurrah and they had like these digital toys called Emlings, which was like, yeah, we're not giving you a toy, but here's a cardboard box with pretty pictures. Like, to me, it's not really that exciting, and it's kind of just the downfall of actual Macca's toys. I think I have a few Macca's toys videos on TikTok. Actually, I should do some more, but I have a ton of old Macca's toys, like some from the Saddle Club, the 10 Dogs Macca's toys, like Kung Fu Panda, Shrek. Oh my god, Hotel for Dogs. That was such a sad movie, and I have the little dog collectibles that you can get from Macca's at the time. Oh, that was such a sad moment in time. Last week on the podcast, I was talking about High Five and Hooly Doolies and the circus and how much I just like love the circus. And on the weekend, I went to the circus, and it's a circus from New Zealand that is like touring for the first time in Australia, this show. And they have like this TV show that's on like Amazon Prime or Hey You, and it's just called The Circus, but it's like this New Zealand family, and it's basically like the Kardashians, but the circus vibe. So it's like a reality show, and I'm so obsessed with it. There's like 3 seasons of it, and I've been waiting for them to come to Australia for so long. So I drove like an hour just to go to see this circus, and it was so bloody good. And there was this one act that was this girl that just did all these random things with bubbles, which you're probably thinking like, that sounds lame, but it was actually so sick. And now my entire personality this week is just me wanting to like learn random bubble tricks and make bubbles my entire personality this week. So like I've been trying to like find like little things on Amazon and like online, but like there's nowhere that you can really find anything. So then I found this lady that's in Russia, and she has like the world record of the most amount of people that she's put inside a bubble. I think it's like 374 people, and that's her world record. And she also sells all this stuff that you can get to learn like all the bubble tricks, and she does these video courses, and I'm like, oh, why is this my personality this week? Like, I just need to wait for this phase to end before I just like go spend all this money on random bubble stuff. I like feel like I can never like anything in a chill way. I just have to like, if I like something, I'm just like, okay, I'm completely into this now, and I can't just be like, oh, that's all right. I also found like on Amazon, I've been into like DS games, and I found like this DS game that has like 200 games. I'm pretty sure it's illegal, but it's like $30 for 200 DS games. So if you like want a Nintendo DS and a few games, like that's a vibe. But I have a few double ups because I already have quite a few games. But still, like there's so many games that like I don't have. And one of them is Zuzu Pets. And I have the Zuzu Pet Nintendo DS game. I should post a video about them, guys, because kind of goes with today's episode about Zuzu Pets nearly killing me. So stay tuned on my TikTok if you want to see a video playing the Nintendo DS game called Zuzu Pets. I hope they have my favorite character in it. I don't know if they do. I don't even know what you do with the game. Keep an eye out for the wild bunch of pranksters, including Rocco, Stinker, and Nutters. I don't think there are any actual names from Zuzu Pets. Oh, actually, it says there's 17 new Zuzu Pets. Carly, Cappuccino, Bitsy, Pinky, Shamrock, Tex, Snowball, Captain Zuzu, and more. Imagine being the person that just comes up with Zuzu Pet names. Like, that would be a cool job. If you can hear the rattling, I'm sorry. It's literally just me looking at the cover at the moment. This adventure continues with more wild and wacky Zuzu levels to explore. You can travel by car, surfboard, skateboard, or plane while exploring new locations and caring for your favorite Zuzu pet. At least these Zuzu pets won't get stuck in your hair and come and kill you. Like, that's good, right? Anyway, so there's a lot to unpack so far in this episode, but there's still more to get into. So let's go on with the episode, and that's this week's Memories Unlocked section. Okay, let's jump into nonsense because I have a story that's equally hilarious and horrifying. So grab a seat, get comfy. Let's rewind back to the school carnival. Basically, each year my school would have like a nighttime carnival where they'd have rides and little stores. And this carnival turned my world upside down from a single glow stick. I love the rides and I also love performing there each year because one of the songs that we performed was that German song that was like, Sting, Schnong, Schnappy, 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 Schnapp. I got to just stand up and perform that in front of all the parents and stuff. Legendary moments. But other than the memorable moments on stage, there was also one particular time off stage. There's a lot of different stores that they had. There was one of them with the Milo cups. Basically, we'd get milk and Milo, put them in cups and freeze them. We ran a store to sell those. I should do a whole episode where I just talk about the little business ideas that I came up with as a kid, actually, and things sell. There was also a store that sold glow sticks, and you got to get glow sticks. It's nighttime, school, like performance night thing. It was like literally outside on the oval. So they'd set up a stage, and then they'll set up all the rides, and then each like class would be able to run a store and stuff like that. I'm assuming I was like in year 3 at this time, so I'm like watching the performances like, oh, there's year 2 up there singing Shannon Knoll, and there's year 6 doing Guy Sebastian, watching all of the performances go by, and then all of a sudden I feel a bit of a funny taste in my mouth, kind of a chemically taste, and then I go, Mum, it tastes funny, and she goes, what do you mean, open your mouth? She tells me to open my mouth, but she can also see on the outside of my mouth, it's a bit of a glow. I've put the glow sticks in my mouth when I've been watching the performances. I've been sitting there sucking on the glow stick, sucking all these chemicals into my mouth. I'm Australia's first nuclear power plant at this stage, glowing in yellow inside my mouth. A poisonous, gross sensation leaking. So then the panic set in. Me and my mum. I'm like, are we going to die? What do you actually do? So while I'm there proudly showing off my glow stick, watching performances, hanging out with my mates, I've bit down on my glow stick just enough for it to crack open and instantly leak out into my mouth. My mum takes me to the bathroom, washes out my mouth. Still glowing. I'm still glowing. So my auntie lived down the road from the school, so she puts me in the car, takes me away from this entire performance. I don't even get to see the carnival anymore. She takes me down to my auntie's house and we do a few more washes on my mouth until I can no longer taste it as strong, but I can still taste like a faint chemical taste in my mouth. And I survived, just so you know. The damage was done. My mouth felt tingly and weird, and I was horrified at the thought of glow sticks after that. I actually don't know if the glow sticks are toxic or if there is actually anything dangerous that can happen, but it was just gross and very uncomfortable taste. But anyway, there I went back to the carnival, enjoying the carnival minus any glow sticks, and looking back at it, it's just one of those stories that it's like, why did I do that? But also a good lesson to be learned. Don't put glow sticks in your mouth. Thanks so much for joining me again for another week of the Nostalgia and Nonsense podcast. Once again, you can join my Patreon, which is called Internet Island. I post heaps of exclusive and bonus stuff over on there. So just join it. The link is in the podcast episode description. And also in next week's episode, we're talking about the Brat in Blockbuster. So stay tuned for another hilarious story then, and some more nostalgia and another trip down memory lane. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good week. See you next Tuesday. Oh, I didn't mean it like that, but sure. Bye.